One of my top 5 strengths, according to StrengthsFinder, is discipline. That does not mean I enjoy spreadsheets. I enjoy the planning, building, and implementing a thought-out vision that leads people into their destiny. So when I consider discipline as it relates to spiritual growth, I need a thought-out way that engages the Spirit and the presence of Jesus. The path of this discipline brings structure and form. And without structure and form, it oftentimes leads individuals a path of not growing. At the same time, though, when I hear discipline and spiritual growth, I hear religion and protecting what is not true. Consider the book title of Richard Foster's Path to Spiritual Growth, Celebration of Discipline. In the title, you hear the tension that exists, and we can quickly create another list of prayers, fasting, journaling, worship, and on the list goes. It is the same tension that exists for those that go on diets and advocate a lifestyle change, knowing that all good diets come to an end without any lasting transformation. The tension is not any different from the tensions we faced in day-to-day ministry as ministry leaders. We put others on a path of spiritual growth, but we do it with our productions, performances, and programs. I have done the productions, performances, and programs for His praise. However, it was one of the reasons it led me to burnout and become cynical, because I became a slave to the praise of men. Our modern venues, our church environments, are intended to create a path to spiritual growth. And Perissos exists because we know firsthand the burden, the burnout that happens because our soul gets buried along the journey. How do we as pastors and ministry leaders approach the topic of spiritual growth, formation, and maturity in Christ without feeling the burden of religion and duty that leads to despair? Earlier this year, I found myself with my second grade daughter at the second grade dance at her elementary. I was silently dreading the entire evening ahead. Really? All I could think about is, how long do I have to be here? And I have 3 more girls to raise to come to a miserable elementary dance. So I cautiously walked into the gym that evening, wondering who would actually be dancing. And of course, to no avail, no one was dancing. I was not about to be the first one on the dance floor. I gently held my daughter's hand, hoping she would not feel the cold, balmy hands that were filled with fear or the sweat on my brow that had formed at the simple thought of dancing. So I whispered to her, "Hey, there's games in the other classrooms. Let's go down the hall," because this was the safe route. So we silently slid off to the other rooms that had entertainment and began our evening together. But all I could hear was dance. But I kept fighting back the pressure that felt like production, and it felt like performance. And frankly, it felt like a mere duty to dance. It often leaves me exhausted, primarily because I am trying to exert or fight back an internal desire. The primary reason I withdrew to the smaller classrooms instead of stepping on the dance floor in the gym was to get my bearings. I had to mentally go through exercises of what story I wanted to live as a father raising 4 girls. My anxious grasping led me to a place that I had to detach myself and rest in grace and freedom of desire. We all have longings and desires that we have buried. But the path to abundant life is being set free from the despair and to hear the invitation to dance. There is within us a fundamental disease, an unquenchable fire that renders us incapable in this life of ever coming to full peace. This desire lies at the center of our lives, in the marrow of our bones, and the deep recesses of our soul. At the heart of all great literature, poetry, art, philosophy, psychology, and religion lies the naming and analyzing of this desire. Spirituality is ultimately about what we do with that desire, what we do with our longings, both in terms of handling the pain and the hope they bring us. That is our spirituality. Augustine says, "You have made us for yourself, Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in you." Spirituality is about what we do with our unrest, says Ronald Rolheiser. So that night in my unrest with my daughter, I was able to get to a place that I was calm, confident, and connected in a way that led my daughter and I to dance for almost 90 minutes together. It'll be a night that I'll remember for years to come because of the joy, the exuberance, the freedom, the expression of letting go, detaching from what was to what could be. This one experience led me to book overdue dance lessons with my spouse. We've been married for 15 years. And I finally booked the dance lessons we've been talking about. And in those dance lessons with my spouse, it led to an unbelievable night of connections. As leaders, we are the ones that need to step on the dance floor first. But our production, performances, and programs are no longer enough. We must detach from the outcomes because it has reduced the dance to a duty and a drill. As leaders, how do we open ourselves to be transformed first beyond the religiosity and burdens many of us face? From one acclaimed leader to another, Henry Nouwen asked Mother Teresa for spiritual direction. Her response was to spend an hour a day in adoration and never do anything you know is wrong. Follow this and you'll be fine. Worship of the open heart adoring its God. This is what we crave. It is the invitation, the whisper to the dance floor. In Richard Foster's book on spiritual growth, there are 12 different paths or 12 different chapters recommended for spiritual formation. Yes, we need to engage in all those spiritual practices, but we first acknowledge the hidden desire, a desire to be free and a desire to dance. Spiritual formation, maturity, and growth is opening yourself to lose yourself and hear the music that pulls your soul into the dance. Our desires point to a coming kingdom, a kingdom here, a kingdom now, one that requires our full participation beyond the longing for the praise of men that is leaving many of our hearts empty. If the programs, platforms, and performances were gone tomorrow, would you be able to identify a path of spiritual growth for yourself? Can we rest in God alone? When we enter into a larger dance, we are allowing our hearts to be open to the Spirit to sow seeds that grow with abandon, seeds that grow into places of rest for birds of the air. We have a world full of people that are deeply longing for a way of living that brings rest and freedom. What are the disciplines to dance? 3 questions and a prayer. What do you want? This points to your desire. What do you love? This will show what you're affectionate about. And what do you do? Points toward your habits and your actions. And finally, a question as a prayer. What do I need to let go of in order to dance? So ask Jesus, say, Jesus, what do I need to let go of to dance? May you come to see that you have desires, and naming those desires is the first step. May you see that your heart loves and needs affections. May you see your actions and habits align a way that brings you freedom. Finally, may you see that spiritual formation is a discipline that leads us into a dance. May you be encouraged this month together to practice new ways of discipline, to share stories of dancing. And may you hear the music the Father is playing and join the party.